Morgan, the feature writer for the Marriage Initiative, and I am just delighted today to introduce Laura and Jay Laffoon. These speakers and authors have been helping couples improve their marriages for the past 27 years through date night events and marriage conferences. They blend education, lessons learned, and the messiness of their 35-year marriage with entertainment. The resulting edutainment creates opportunities for spouses to connect and grow as they laugh together. Jay's a pastor who started his career working with youth in the Midwest, and the Laffoons have published 11 books. Their most recent marriage book, The Ultimate Date Night, 52 Dates for Busy Couples in 2020. As well as speaking at conferences and hosting an annual cruise, the Laffoons coach couples online and offer conference content to groups via live Zoom. Jay, Laura, thank you so much for being here.
Our pleasure.
Our pleasure.
Oh, well, I'm just so looking forward to talking to you and having you share with our marriage champions. Tell us how you got started. You have a fun story about the Grand on Mackinac Island.
Well, we were actually in youth ministry, and we started getting requests from parents to do parenting seminars. And the more we looked into parenting issues, the more we realized they were really marriage issues manifest with the kids. So we said, let's attack the marriage issue problem first, because that's going to hopefully solve some of the parenting issues. So that's how we got involved. And
we really just started disliking teenagers.
We didn't want to work with kids anymore. No, just kidding. But we would start getting asked to do some marriage stuff, and we enjoyed it. We had been in ministry together for a long time and enjoyed working together. And I was on Mackinac Island here in Michigan and was doing speaking at a business conference, and had the chance to walk past Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. Now, for those that don't know, it's the world's largest summer-only hotel. The island does not allow cars, so it's all horse-drawn carriages, just absolutely romantic.
Bikes, foot traffic.
Yeah. And said to my family on Sunday dinner after that event, I said, boy, if we could ever do our own marriage thing, we'd love to do it at Grand Hotel. Forgetting that my mother sat on a women's committee that actually did a conference at Grand Hotel. And she was the hotel liaison. So she introduced us to the president, and he had us up for a site visit and wined us and dined us. And we said, well, with that kind of treatment, we need to go check it out. And we did it our first year. We begged and pleaded everyone we knew to come, had 100 couples, and we thought we'd just do it once. And they were like, are you kidding me? Let's keep doing this. And that was, oh my goodness,
27 years
ago, we started doing that.
Wow, that's been on my bucket list to go there. I have relatives up that way, and I've heard how beautiful that area is. I can't think of a better destination, except maybe your cruise. That sounds really fun too. To really get away and reinforce a commitment to a couple's marriage. So tell me, you talk about your conferences are a little different, right? You call them edutainment. That's not a phrase I've heard most speakers use. So unpack that. What does that mean? I can tell just by your great smile there that you guys are fun to be around.
Well, when we started, we looked at each other and said, we want to design a conference that we would want to go to. Yeah. And, all marriage conferences are great. We recommend most of them, but a lot of them weren't our style. We're not people,
we're youth ministers by nature.
And so we wanted it to be something that was fun and full of laughter. We truly believe that when people can laugh together, then they can learn. And when they can laugh, their hearts are open to truth. And so we really designed it to be something that is fun, full of laughter, comedy, music,
and biblical truth.
Always biblical truth about marriage. But that really is our heart and soul was about making sure that it was something fun, because we also know that men want to come to something that is fun. And so we really tried to gear it towards something that a husband would want to be at.
And so what we do is we poke biblical truth. and after we've poked them a few times and they're giggling and they're laughing and their heart's soft, the biblical truth just seeps right in. And it really is an effective way to garner change in that couple relationship, because they see the truth. And when they see the truth, when you're confronted with the truth, you can't really argue. You have to move forward.
And that really is where the edutaining came in. We educate through entertaining. And so we're not comedians, but we're funny.
Yeah.
We're not stand-up comics, but
We can't
stand
dance.
up.
I can tell you, we cannot dance.
We've tried, and we tried to do hip hop one year, and it was pretty entertaining.
Oh, it was funny.
That's the funny part, right?
We really try and make our conferences and our date nights something that is totally different than the norm, and that involves music, comedy, and fun, and then always biblical truth and practical tools that you can walk away with and use in your marriage right then.
And how things kind of evolved. We were doing the conference at Grand Hotel, and we began to do it at other destination hotels around the country. And then in 2008, the economy crashed. And so some of those other hotels we were not able to attend to anymore. And at the same time, we published our first book entitled The Spark, or actually Baker Publishing published that. And they wanted us to go on a book tour. So our thought was to take our conference, shrink it into 90 minutes, and start taking it to churches around the country. And that's how our ultimate date night kind of came to be, was that we did a book tour, and it was 90 minutes. Couples come in for the night, have a lot of fun. We give them tools to take home, and it's a really great event that is not just a one-nighter, but it's a long impacting event.
And you still kind of do both of those things now, right? You do your conferences twice a year at the Grand, and then you're able to bring your conference or your date night, your ultimate date night, to churches or venues that might want you live, correct?
Right, absolutely. We do our conferences in May and October on Mackinac Island. We have one coming up here in a month. And then we also have our ultimate date night, which is a different show every year. So if a church were to want to bring us back every year, every other year, it's always going to be different. But yes, we travel all over the country doing our date night show in churches, community theaters, schools. We've been in school gymnasiums where a community doesn't necessarily have a big enough church or a theater, but they've got a big gymnasium. So we've done it in all different kinds of venues.
Yes, and this year's theme is All You Need Is Love. Many people are familiar with that song from the Beatles, and we're excited because it's something that just kind of a theme that came out of a conversation we were actually having with our son, and he was talking about the difference between what you truly need and what are strong desires.
Yeah.
And those are two very different things. And so often in marriage, we talk about, oh, I need this and I need that from my spouse. Well, maybe that's just a strong desire and you're mistaking it for a need, because really all you really need is air, water, food, shelter, clothing, some basic things. And so often.
So we talk about how those needs and strong desires impact a marriage.
Yeah. And you mentioned too, another one of your topics I know has been communication, no surprise. With he said, she said, but even how that needs, desires can wrap around in that just the difference of communication style.
That's right. We often talk about the big three. Every relationship, every marriage has those big three issues: money, intimacy, and family. And then what happens is you take those three issues and you wrap it up in the fact that men and women communicate very differently. Now you've got the communication issues. And so while every couple needs to communicate, they communicate very differently, male, female, personality to personality. And then you throw in those three issues of finances, intimacy, and family. And then it is kind of like a exploding
potential powder keg. Yeah.
Well, how do you talk the couples off the edge? Because I would imagine when you kind of start talking about those three big ones, what are some of the ways you help them kind of get past that?
Well, it's funny because we are not counselors. We recommend counseling when a couple needs counseling. My goodness, that we've got counselors that we recommend here in Michigan and, of course, around the country. But most couples don't need counseling. Most couples, though, do need a coach. If you look at life, most of your greatest athletes, your greatest actors, your greatest anyone in a public domain has a coach. Well, your marriage is in a public domain. You know what I'm saying? You are on display all the time in front of your kids, first of all, potentially your grandkids, but your neighbors, your folks at church, your folks in the community. And to be the best that you can be, you might need a little help. And so we coach couples all the time, giving them, running them through our 6-week coaching program.
And you do that online, correct? Through Zoom or?
We actually have 3 different avenues that you can take advantage of with coaching. One of those is a private Zoom, which is Jay and I with another couple. So that's a one-on-one 6-week coaching program. That's a little more personal, a little more customized to what they're actually looking for and in need of. Then we have our small group coaching, which many churches have taken advantage of after we come in and do a date night. Then they have couples sign up for the small group coaching, still via Zoom, still online. It's just not going to be as personal. We may have 10 couples, we may have 20, however that church may make it happen. And then we have online and on demand. We have our coaching program right on our website where you can do it at your convenience. And you're not going to get the personal touch from Jay and I, but you're still getting Jay and I's teaching via video.
Getting the core curriculum of what we do and how we take couples through the process that we actually went through dozens of years ago, that really has an end goal in mind, with the understanding that God has his thumbprint on every couple. And he's got something uniquely in mind for every couple. And when you really kind of get that in your head, you go, oh my goodness, that's special. That's unique. And we want to find out what that is so that we can be living our best married life together.
And you talked about some sort of a family mission statement that you that's your goal of funneling people down into that.
The bottom line is this. Can you tell us the purpose of your marriage in one sentence? Most people can't. But what we do with our coaching program is we kind of dissect each couple, different areas of their marriage, from communication to dating to conflict resolution. And then we build them back up in the very unique way that God made them, culminating in a mission statement process that allows you to really, in one sentence, if someone were to ask you again, like on an elevator pitch, what's the purpose of your marriage? You'd be able to tell them that just like that.
And a lot of couples might say, well, why does my marriage need a purpose? Well, we found the reason we put ourselves and we designed this program was because we found ourselves at about 10 years into marriage that I was saying yes to everything and Jay was saying no to everything. And I wanted to be involved in everything and he didn't want to be involved in anything. And so what we found was, with this mission statement, it gave us a purpose together, and it gave us the ability to say yes to the things that we needed to say yes to and no to the things that we needed to say no to. Because the reality is that when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. When I say yes to being on that committee at my kids' school, I'm saying no to some family time at night, and whatever that might be. But the reality is that when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something. When you're saying no to something, you're saying yes to something.
And honestly, in our opinion, the word yes and no are the 2 most powerful words in the English language. And when you got this mission statement and together, you know what you're going to say yes to, and you know what you're going to say no to, it creates tremendous freedom and tremendous joy, because you're not feeling guilty about saying no to that one thing that they keep asking us to be involved in. Well, it's not who God made us.
Nursery, no, not the nursery.
Exactly. It's for everyone, it's something different. But when you can say no and you can do it guilt-free, because you know this is what God's called us to do and where we're supposed to be, it's really a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love that. Let's go back, because we kind of skipped over there in the middle, the way that you will do a Zoom coaching with groups. That's one of the first times I've heard this. I've heard it's fairly common for people to do one-on-one coaching and to have online on-demand things. But when you do a Zoom with small groups for church, I have not heard of people that are so, say you've said yes to do that. And that's a commitment for you guys. That's a time commitment. Tell us a little bit more about what that would look like, because that's very intriguing to me. I could see how the churches, that's an asset in their pocket that they could really utilize you well.
Correct. And like I said, a lot of churches will choose to do it as a follow-up to our date night. And a lot of churches will also choose to do it. We have these small groups all over our church,
or life groups, or whatever your church
calls them. And they've built these relationships. They've spent time together, and now they want to do a marriage curriculum, but we don't know what to point them to. Well, you can use Jay and Laura's coaching as your 6-week marriage curriculum that you're going to use for your small group. And so it's a time for small groups to build those relationships. But it's also like the one we just finished was a group of 10 couples from a church that had just had us for a date night. So the 10 couples didn't really know each other, but they grew to know each other through our small group coaching. And there's not a lot of, what's the word? You're not sharing intimate details right here on the Zoom.
Yeah.
We're giving you a program to go through, and then we give you homework to work on with just you and your spouse. So there's not that, oh no, am I going to share intimate details of my marriage with people I don't know? No, you're not. And so, and one of the ways we operate too, where the private one-on-one coaching, we're talking to the couple one-on-one for an hour, 6 times over 6 weeks. The small group happens, everybody mutes themselves except for Jay and Laura. And then if you have questions, you can put it in the chat, and you can put it in a private message as well. So they have access to us, so that there is something that they're like, we don't want to ask this right out there, but can we ask you? Yes, you can ask us and we answer your questions.
Or if they need clarification over something we were teaching, Jay and Laura, you said this, but it didn't really sink in. What does that mean? They do that via the chat, because if one couple's feeling that way, probably some others are too. And so we're able to address that in real time without, and this is not meaning to offend anybody, but every small group's got that one that likes to talk. And so we eliminate that person dominating all the time. And, and everyone else is very happy.
It just seems really intriguing to me, because that, and you do go out of your way for those small group participants. You will interact with them. They can email you, and that's, it kind of seems like the best of both worlds. It's more personal than just, because they could do that with a small group that's already together and just access you online, and do that on demand that way. But it seems like this is really neat, because they can really communicate with you.
Well, and that did just happen in this last session. We had one of the couples who they were facing a really hard decision regarding a trip to Europe. The fella's best friend from high school now lives in Europe. He's getting married. He wants me to come to the wedding. It's probably more money than we should spend. What's your advice? What would you tell us to do? So what we did was we're not going to just say what to do. We're going to give them some steps to take to make a qualified decision. And so that's kind of what we did. And they came to the conclusion that, at this season in life, with 2 small children, and the fact that we don't have childcare available readily here near us, we're going to have to say, we're sorry, we can't come. But our plan is to, at some point in the future, try and make it over to Europe to come see you.
Yeah. And then they could both feel good about that. And then you were able to help them. It just seems like a really neat bridge there. And it's a product that I've really not seen anyone else offer in that way. Well, let's talk a little bit more about some of your curriculums and your books, because you have some really great things. I know you have the ultimate, when you talk about a date night, you've got an ultimate date night book with 52 dates, right? Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, we're about to release our 3rd book with Broad Street Publishing, which is a book for dads. But that was our last book with Broad Street. It's called The Ultimate Date Night. And so many couples get stuck in the rut of dinner and a movie, dinner and a movie, dinner and a movie. And so we're like, well, we're creative people. We're going to help you go have some fun, do a unique date that doesn't necessarily cost a lot of money. And at the same time, we're going to build in some thoughts, some devotional thoughts that you can carry on this date and have some meaningful conversation, perhaps even some meaningful new direction in your marriage. Oh, pardon Laura, she had to sneeze.
Okay, bless you.
The cat just tickled her toes. No, we don't have a cat.
But
so what we did was we created 52 experiences, and they range, they vary in cost. Some are very absolutely no cost. Some have a little higher cost. Time commitment, from very little time to maybe a longer period of time, and an adventure. How adventurous is this? And then what we've done is created a little devotional thought to go with that date, and a prayer that you can say with each other to kind of close the date. And then there's also a place where you can journal if you want some reflections on that date.
I love it. Give us some examples. Give it some of your secrets of your great dates.
Well, one of our favorites, and we kind of discovered this during the pandemic when you couldn't go anywhere, we would just get in our car And I would take my camera and we would turn off the GPS and we would just drive.
No phones, no
No
nothing.
phone, no, we would just drive. And if we saw something I want to take a picture of, we'd stop, I'd take a picture. So one of our dates in the date night book is to just
Get lost.
get lost, get in your car and drive. Now, if you do get lost, then you can turn your GPS to get back home. But you know, it's the level of adventure and the unknown and the excitement in such a world where we're so busy. We always know where we're going and we got to get there. We got to get there fast. Yeah. This one is really for you to just slow down and have some time together where you're just driving and going.
Another one is, and again, it's called a driveway date. We some friends of ours told us this was one of their favorite things to do here in Michigan in the summertime is they'll put their kids to bed. They'll go out into their driveway, set up 2 chairs in the back of his pickup truck, have their beverage of choice, turn on a little music, and just talk. And it's like, okay, how cool is that? You're in nature, you know, so he's enjoying nature, she's enjoying nature, you're enjoying each other's company without the hustle and the bustle. You know, the kids are in bed, you're not far away.
TV's off, screens are down.
Screens are off, right. And, you know, and again, here in Michigan, the evenings are cool. The sun doesn't set till 10, 11 o'clock at night. And so it's a wonderfully romantic, no cost date and really can produce some very incredible conversations.
And then we have some other ones that are seasonal. You know, in the fall, maybe go to an apple orchard and pick apples and have some cider and some donuts, you know, whatever that might be. In the summertime, find a beach. Maybe it's a lake beach, maybe it's an ocean beach, depending on where you live, where you could just go, the 2 of you, put up a chair, take your cooler, and just spend the day reading a book.
My favorite one is a new craze in the country right now. It's axe throwing.
Yes.
There are now axe throwing arenas or like bowling alleys, only you have your axe throwing alley. And
we haven't done it yet.
We haven't done it yet.
We haven't had an axe throwing close to us, but we are getting one. So that will be on our list of dates.
And I guarantee you that Laura will take a picture of Jay's face to put right on the bullseye, or else she will start.
That's something that my older son has done with you know on dates, and even the kids, even you know, just like groups go do that sort of thing. So if they can do it, we can do it, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So it really is just a book that's got some dates. Some of them seem very like, oh, why didn't we think of that? And then others are like, oh, that's a really good idea. And so it really is just a book to help you get out of the dinner and a movie rut. Right.
The core of who we are is to help busy couples stay happily married for life. And every couple we meet, no matter what stage, our best friends are retired, but my goodness, they're busy as can be because they're servants. But helping busy couples stay happily married for life. One of the other books that we've written is called Celebrate Your Marriage, 365 Daily Devotions for Busy Couples. And it's literally a book about this big, and the devotion is 1 page long. So we're talking 30 to 45 seconds. I mean, I know we're all busy, but who doesn't have 30 to 45 seconds to sit down together over a cup of coffee, read the devotional, read the thought, read the scripture, and just talk about it for, you know, a couple minutes to get your day started right or to end your day right, whatever you choose.
Those are our most recent books.
I love that. What is your favorite book?
Well, it's not one of our most recent ones. It's a little bit older. It's not that old though, but it's one that we self-published called Making the Most of a Messy Marriage. It's built around the fact
that we're a mess.
Yeah, that every one of us is a mess. The Bible tells us that we've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So we're all a mess. And now we're in this thing called marriage, and our marriage is a mess. And how do we make the most of it? And we take you through the different areas in our marriage that we're a mess in, and then the habits that you need to build into that area to make the most of the mess.
My favorite when we tour with this book, because we cycle them in, is you get the people that are like, well, our marriage is not a mess. I'm like, let me spend 1 day with you and I'll prove to you that you're a mess. You know, you all are. And it's not like, you know, huge messes like, you know, couples with infidelity, those are serious issues. Couples with job issues, those are serious issues. But, you know, we have little messes all the time. We argue, we have tone of voice issues. We disappoint. Those are messy things. And that's what happens in marriage because you're talking about 2 humans.
Well, you said you've got a brand new book coming out about dads. You want to throw that in at the end here?
You bet. It's called The Ultimate Dad Night, 75 amazing activities for dads and kids. It's not excluding mom, But
Mom's going to be the one to buy the book.
that's probably going to be the case. This will be great for my husband. And again, busy couples. We're here for busy couples. So the book is very simple. We've come up with 75 different activities that have a wide age range. Anywhere from 3 years old up till teenagers. And we have a little key that says this would be good for what age range. Again, time factor, again, money factor, and then adventure level. And what we do is we detail out what they need to do for the activity. And then we've got a little story or an anecdote that goes along with that activity and some questions for dad to ask the kids. They're not like, deep, dark theological questions, but they're questions to get dads and kids talking. I mean, that's really what kids need, is that dad being present in the moment, really caring about what they say. And then it closes with a prayer that the dad can pray over the kids, a prayer of blessing.
So it'll be a great Father's Day present, but it actually is released on Tuesday, May 2nd. And it's available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, and Walmart.
Well, that is so fun. That sounds like that would be something that would be right up our Marriage Champions alley, as they're, putting together ideas for couples and families. Just a really great resource, and your 11th book. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, well, it has been so much fun talking to you today, Jay and Laura. You guys are just really fun to talk to, and to hear all about all your great resources. So thank you so much for being here.
Our pleasure.
Oh, and Marriage Champions, as always, if you'd like to find out more about Jay and Laura, you can find us at marriageinitiative.org.